Hey, what's up, Genetic Sessions? My name is Al, also known as Geek Boy, and today I want to talk to you about bass. Specifically, I want to talk to you about how to create a nice, fat, gnarly, overdriven sub bass using Serum. So I've made a beat. There's not a lot going on in it, just a couple of synths and some drums. And down here on this currently muted channel, I've got my sub bass. So let's have a listen to that. In terms of the notes, it's fairly simple. It's just following the root note of the chord and jumping up an octave every now and then to kind of keep that movement. So there are lots of different ways of creating this type of sub bass sound. I'm going to show you the way I do it, the way that works for me. So without further ado, I'm going to create a new MIDI channel. Let's mute this and I'll grab another instance of Serum and we can start from scratch. And I'll copy this MIDI data, so I've got the same notes. It's currently just the default sawtooth wave, so it sounds like this. So first thing I'm going to do is click this little pencil icon to edit our waveform. And if we go down to this little arrow here, we can choose from a few preset waveforms, and we want to go into this menu that says multis and choose sine overdrive. Let's go back to our main view. Now we've got this little wavetable rotary here, which scrubs through the wavetable. When it's fully all the way to 1, it's basically just a sine wave, which is the simplest, most straightforward type of waveform you can get. In fact, I'm going to grab a spectrum so that you can actually see what's going on here. So we play a low F down here. All that sub bass basically is just a low sine wave. A sine wave played at a very low frequency, and it's those frequencies that really vibrate the big club sound systems. Depending on what speakers you're currently watching this video on, you may not even be able to hear this down there. Maybe you can hear it if you're using headphones or if you've got some decent studio monitors. If you're listening on your phone, you probably won't be able to hear that. So we want to get this in a place where it sounds a bit kind of tougher and gnarlier, and also we want some of those kind of overtones so that it can be heard not just on a big club sound system, but on your phone or your iPod dock or whatever you happen to be listening to it on. So if I turn up this wavetable rotary here, you'll see it gets more and more kind of overdriven and clipped. And that feels like a good place to leave it in for now. We'll leave it at around 50. The next thing I want to do is create a little amplitude envelope so that instead of keeping a consistent volume throughout, it starts loud and just gets quieter as the note plays. So it's got a kind of a decay on it. Yeah, that will do. I also want to take our envelope 2 and create a little pitch envelope. So I'm going to drag this modulator up to coarse pitch. And I want to go into the matrix, this is very important, and change this little type to, from what it was, with that double arrow, and just change it to a single arrow. So it's only affecting the pitch in one direction. So I'll pull this down. So I want a very tight slope. And I want it to affect it even less than that. So I'm going to slide this down because I want this to be a fairly subtle effect. Yeah, that'll do. I'll put this onto mono mode so that we can't play more than one note at the same time. Switch legato on and click this always button for portamento so that when it plays a different note, it will kind of glide up to that note. So you get a little bit of a pitch slide when the note changes. Exactly like that. I also, I want to create a little bit of a pitch wobble. So I'll drag this LFO1 modulator up to fine pitch. Now that's very wobbly, bit too wobbly, so I'm going to click this little blue circle and drag it down to, I don't know, about 40, that'll do, maybe 38. Slow this down a little bit, slow it down to 2 bars maybe, so yeah, 32, that'll do. So it's not quite as extreme. We're already kind of getting close to the right place. I'm going to switch on this low pass filter. So all that's doing is rolling off the high frequencies. Also going to turn the drive up a little bit to add a bit more of that sort of overdriven feel. One thing you may kind of notice is, particularly when it jumps up to those higher notes, you can get kind of a nasty spike at around 100 hertz, and that's not nice. That's not a good frequency for bass. So I'm going to grab an EQ8, select this parametric and change it from 200 hertz to 100 hertz. And I'm going to cut this quite aggressively, like at least by 10 dB. Narrow that Q curve a little bit. Yeah, and that's a little bit nicer. We're just, a bit more in control of those boomy 100 hertz frequencies, because they are just not nice frequencies in bass. I'm also going to grab a saturator to add even more of a little bit of overdrive. Let's put that up to, I don't know, about 3 or 4 dB. Let's see what that sounds like. So this is sounding pretty good to me. Let's have a listen to it in the context of the song. Another little sort of final thing that you can add, and this is kind of optional, you may like this, you may not, it's something I've been doing recently, is adding a little bit of white noise to my sub. That may sound like an odd thing to do, but I've been getting good results from it. So there's one way that we can do that from inside Serum. If we switch on this little noise oscillator and select something like bright white, turn the level down a little bit, maybe turn the pitch down as well. So that's one way of doing that. Another way that I've been doing it, and this is kind of how I tend to do it now, I'll switch that off again, is there is a great plugin from DVS Machines called Texture, and that will just add white noise to any incoming signal. You can set a gate, so you can set what triggers the white noise, what level. It's quite loud, so I'm going to turn that down quite a bit. Maybe turn the color down a little bit. I can filter it so it's just kind of the high frequencies. Let's turn these envelope knobs down. So I kind of like that. Let's have a listen to the tune. Maybe turn that down a little bit more. And all of this, all of these parameters are open to experimentation. You might decide that you don't want quite so much drive and saturation. You might want kind of a cleaner sound. Or you might want to kind of push it to slightly more extremes. You might want to go really hardcore. That's a bit too extreme for me. I'm going to turn these back down again. So yeah, that is how I do my sub bass in my tunes now. That's genuinely exactly how I do it. It's important as well that your kick drum and your sub bass are not fighting with each other in the mix. And the way that I do that is with sidechain compression, but I'm afraid I've kind of don't really have time to explain that in this video. So if there is some demand for it, I will probably do a video on the different ways in which you can do sidechain compression. So you maybe get in touch, comment, let us know, has this video been useful? Would you like to see a video on sidechain compression? Get in touch. I hope this video has been helpful. Have a great day, have fun producing, and remember to wash your hands.